Ladies and gentlemen, KocoSports.com proudly presents Wrestle AM. Of course, Boom Boom here from Richmond, Virginia. And of course, if you've been on the internet today, I guess you've already seen the news. WWE Hall of Famer, former WWF World Heavyweight Champion Bruno Sammartino has passed away at the age of 82 years old. It's been written in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette that he passed away sometime this morning, April the 18th, 2018. They really not going into specifics about it. The only thing the family members had said he'd been hospitalized recently. He'd been failing in health for the past few months. He's survived by his wife, Carol. They were married for almost 60 years. His 3 sons and 4 grandchildren. I think it's absolutely heartbreaking, especially if you look back in the past week. I'm a little superstitious about this, but death tends to come in threes. Now, this past week, this will actually make 4, because when you look back in the past week, you've had Arlie Ermy, best known as the drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket. Harry Anderson, he was best known as Judge Stone from the sitcom Night Court. Last night you had former First Lady Barbara Bush pass away, and now today Bruno Sammartino. I don't want to go too long on this, but I just want to say, if you have not looked up his biography or his body of work, you owe it to yourself to check it out. He lived a very, very fascinating life. He was born in Italy in 1935. His family had to hide from the Nazis. He came to the United States probably right around 1950. Came into the United States, settled in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He was actually, believe it or not, he was actually a victim of childhood bullying because he was all sickly and stuff. Because fuck it, you're running from the goddamn Nazis. It's not like you're going to have time to get health care and eat 3 square meals a day. You're just trying to fucking survive. But he actually started, since he was so fed up with getting bullied, he decided to take up weightlifting, and he started on that. And I think he almost made the U.S. Olympic team right around 1956. He set a bench press record. In 1959, he bench pressed 565 pounds. But here's what's impressed me about that record is he did it without elbow pads. He did it without rest tape. And it's not like he just went down and went right back up. No, he went down with the weight, held it on his chest for 2 seconds, then proceeded with the press. To me, that's just absolutely amazing. He started his professional wrestling career in 1959. He wrestled with, I think it was the Capital Wrestling Corporation. Anyway, he eventually wrestled for the company that would become, I think it was the Capital Wrestling. I apologize, I'm a little befuddled here. But eventually would become the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, ran by Vince Sr. He won his first championship. He won it on May 17th, 1963. He defeated Buddy Rogers in under 1 minute. And Rogers would there's a lot of controversy about this. This is sometimes where you kind of realize that the only people who don't realize sometimes pro wrestling is predetermined is non-fans and sometimes the wrestlers themselves. Is Rogers would always claim up and down that he'd had a heart attack like the week before. They drug him out of the hospital to have that match. He wasn't ready. Well, anyway, Bruno Sammartino he held that championship for just an astounding 2,803 days. He held the championship on and off for almost for about 11 years. Anyway, this first reign he had was just shy of about 8 years. He was eventually defeated by the Russian Bear Ivan Koloff in 1971. I think that was just something they did to get the belt off of him, so they could put it on Pedro Morales, because he went on and had an over 1,000-day championship reign. He would lose it a couple of years later, 1973. to Stan Stasiak, and Stasiak only held it for 9 days, and he dropped the championship to Bruno Sammartino. And I mean, his next title reign was not bad at all. He had 1,237 days. He continued to wrestle into the late 80s. He had suffered a neck injury. It looked like he was about out. But his son David Sammartino was trying to get in, so they some shady promoters would basically use David to get Bruno back in the ring. He made the career of Larry Zbyszko back in late 70s, going into about 1980. The story was that Larry Zbyszko was his protege, and the Zbyszko turned on him in 1980. And they milked that for almost the entire year. They had I think it might have been a sellout at Shea Stadium in August of 80. And to the point where Zbyszko, they had to put, Zbyszko had even said, when they had that, they had to put him in trunk of car. They get him in the arenas by putting him in the trunk of a car, driving him in, because people were ready to fucking kill him. So he made that. He eventually, he even came back and did some commentary. He became a critic of WWE, particularly during the steroid allegations, the steroid trial, and particularly the Attitude Era, with a lot of the, obscene storylines that they were doing at the time. But through WWE, eventually, would come back to being PG. And something I never thought I would ever see, Triple H actually somehow established some kind of rapport with Bruno, and he became a WWE Hall of Famer back in 2013. He'd been offered before that, but because of all this past complaints, he wouldn't. But once he'd seen that they'd addressed all the issues that he was concerned about, he was inducted. He just defined wrestling, particularly through the 60s and part of in the 70s. So he was an amazing man. He defined professional wrestling, and I'm glad he got to take his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm glad he was able to do it on his terms. He was able to tip his cap, to do it in good health. And I wish WWE would do that with a lot more of these people, like people like Vader. I wish they would put people like that in now, where they can still walk, why they can still, give their own speech instead of having to doing a post-mortem or a posthumous, induction. So, let me real quick here. Yep. Thinking about him. Yeah, Zach Rose said, it's been emotional, Dad. I just finished the Andre documentary, and as soon as I go on to YouTube, I see this. Yeah, I actually watched the Andre the Giant documentary yesterday, as a matter of fact, last night before I went to bed. Worth checking out. Rest in peace, legend. Amen. All right, that's all really I got time for. All I want to say that this was just kind of a shock to me. I saw this online, and I had to do some research on the fly here, but if you got the WWE Network, go look up some of his matches. Go look up and pay some tribute to the man. I really think he helped define wrestling. He helped keep it alive. Definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame. Definitely a legend. And I just hope he's up there in the sky looking down, smiling on us, saying, guys, I had one hell of a ride. It was a lot of fun. Had humble beginnings, rose to become just an icon of professional wrestling, and from what I can see, just an all-around good guy, still humble. So if you want to, guys, be sure to check out our channel, KocoSports.com, KocoSports.com. On the channel, Dave Coco has broke down the Superstar Shakeup, if you want to check that out. Dave and I are going to try to get some more shows on later on this week, so stay tuned. So subscribe to us, hit that little bell icon, and we'll see you later. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Boom Boom for KocoSports.com. Thank you for joining us.